I'm working on my little John Deere RX95 here. I got on it yesterday to move some firewood. I like this little tractor for moving stuff around the property because it's skinny enough to get through my gate. My Craftsman is too wide and I have to pull the gate down and some of the fencing to get it through. So I picked this up about a year ago, but I haven't done anything to it other than use it. But I got on it yesterday and it wouldn't move. This idler pulley here had frozen, and my belts, I had already known they weren't long for this world, and they couldn't handle the frozen pulleys, so they gave up. At least that one did, and the other one's almost as bad. This mower takes 2 drive belts. It has an unusual kind of CVC setup on it. It's not centrifugal powered like a traditional one. It actually goes by belt tension, so it does have a shifter for selecting different gears that puts various tension on the belt, and the CVC just adjusts to that tension. Anyway, everything I've read online about these things, nobody likes working on them. It's real tight underneath and everything is in the way of everything. That's why my axle ended up getting pulled out, because this top bolt would hit the frame before you could get the bolt and the pulley out, so you had to drop the axle. Now I went a little extreme in removing it, but I wanted to do a few other things to it too. The other idler pulleys, one was just about frozen, so I caught that, and I just wanted to clean up and oil everything underneath it. And I wanted to address the brakes, which this video is actually going to be about. I didn't shoot any footage of working on this. It would have just doubled my time trying to repair this thing yesterday. But I figured I'd take a shot of these brakes because this might help somebody. This was kind of interesting when I pressure washed it. Let's see if that'll show up. I'm working in the sun right now, so it's kind of washing everything out. Well, anyway, I don't know if it's showing up, but right there is the Tecumseh Indian. So Tecumseh was making transmissions for John Deere at one point. And that's a Kawasaki 12.5 horsepower engine. Anyway, let me get set up here and we'll talk about these brakes. Okay, I moved it into the shade, so hopefully now it won't be too dark, but the bright light was a little intense. So, this is pretty typical of a lawn tractor, at least the ones I've worked on. And that's a little better. So I was saying, this is pretty typical, at least of the ones I've worked on. Knowing modern equipment, it's probably made out of polypropylene and has a dozen sensors on it to shut the engine down in case you're 2 ounces overweight of the brake system or some nonsense. But so a lawn tractor doesn't apply brakes to any of the wheels. It has this little disc brake on the transmission. So when you're stopping this, it stops your axles from turning, so it just stops in the rear. So this is a disc brake, and it works very similar to an automotive disc brake. This would be your caliper. There's a fixed pad on the back side, just like a fixed side on the caliper, and then on the front side, instead of having a piston, it has 2 pins that push on the moving pad. Now this one is froze, which seems to be pretty common on riding lawnmowers. Quite frankly, I didn't even know the thing did not have brakes, because this tractor, I flat land it, plus with the trailer, I just push the clutch in and it pretty much stops anyway. Especially since all 4 wheels are basically pointed in different directions anyway. So I just discovered this after I pulled the axle off. But it's froze. It will not lock up, so we're going to pull this off and see if it's probably just the pins not moving in this housing. And hopefully there'll be some pad left to reuse, because I really don't plan on buying new pads for this thing. Brakes are really irrelevant for this tractor. So that's our plan. Finish up my explanation a little bit, I realized I didn't go over the cam action of this. These bends are specifically there so when you press down on the brake pedal it pulls this over, and those bends act like a cam and they push those pins in to engage that brake pad. So that's how that works. How it's supposed to work anyway. I don't like the feel of that. Uh-oh. Well, I guess it broke loose. Felt like it was getting ready to break. I looked it up. This rear end does not take oil. You grease it when you assemble it, and that's its lube. I got lucky on both of those. That one felt exactly like the other one. So I got those new belts ordered. It'll be a little while before I can put this together. Okay, so there's the pad. Unfortunately, there's still material left. So, looks like those pins in this instance push on a metal plate that pushes the pad out. And it's definitely froze. So that gives you a good view of the disc. And then there's another pad. See if we can see that. There's another pad. Not getting that light right. Okay, right there. And that's the fixed pad. It does not move. And it looks like there's some meat on that still too. So these brakes should be repairable. So to replace that pad, it looks like you'd have to split the case unless you can pull this off. Looks like you should be able to pull that off and replace that. That'd be better than splitting the case if you can avoid it. My festive holiday tin makes a noisy workbench. Okay, let's try try to... You know what, let's go inside to work on this. The lighting will be better in there anyway. So you see those are those two pins, and at rest they're in that indentation, and so when the brake pedal is pressed, those pins right up on the high spots, pushes them in and engages that pad. Obviously these pins are very frozen. This seems to be fairly common. I haven't worked on a ton of these, but the few I have, this is pretty much what they've all done. Probably they sit out in the weather, you know, in the off seasons, they're not ridden. And then the moisture gets in there and the electrolysis sets in because of the dissimilar metals, and it just freezes them in place. That's my speculation anyway. It sounds good to me. Stuck in real good. That one's not bad. Okay. I'll clean these rusty parts up on the wire wheel. And then when I reassemble it, I'll put some anti-seize on there. That's not spinning, that's the wrench slipping. Okay, I'll bring you back when I have progress. I'm going to go try to tap that out. Okay, that didn't tap out too badly. With a hammer and a punch, it came out okay. So I'm going to clean those up, and hopefully I can find a small bottle brush or something. I'd like to clean those holes out too. So I'll bring it back when it's cleaned up and ready to go back together. Yeah, I'd almost forgotten that I bought this little Harbor Freight deal. I've had it for a little while and haven't used it yet. These it's called an engine brush kit, and these ought to be just perfect for cleaning that bore out. Goes on aluminum, I should probably use the brass. Give you a nifty handle, but I don't think I'll need that. We'll see. handle would help. Okay, freed up some memory so I can finish shooting this. I'm on a roll today. It's the only two things I haven't done yet is kill the battery or trip over the tripod. That'll be next. It actually worked out really well. That's a nice little tool. So, yeah, I may have to clean that out. Pins go in like that. Now the pad's still outside. So that goes wrong way, like so. And so when you press on the brake, pushes those pins, brings the pad out. I believe how these brakes are adjusted as the pad wears down is you just tighten this nut up. That's why it's a lock nut. That's why it's a lock nut. So you don't have to cinch it all the way down. You just go it up enough to where this actuates like it should. And then as the pad wears down, you can just snug it up a little as you go along. Finish that up when it's assembled. Alright, time to go back outside. Considering that brake is just a square piece of material, obviously it'd be pretty easy to make your own pad as a replacement. Nothing special about that at all, other than the material itself, of course. But you could cut up an old brake pad or an old brake shoe if you needed to. Wouldn't a mechanic's life be easier if manufacturers actually assembled things with anti-seize? Zoom you out a little. But that would be counterproductive to the throwaway society we are today. this light, you might be able to see that. Yeah. Focus camera. Let's go back out. A little Indian head there. It's upside down, but crafted with pride in USA. That could stand to be a little tighter. Of course, I'll know more once it's in place, because that'll dictate how much free play I need to hook the linkage up. So that's all there is to it. See if I can simulate it running. There we go. So pulley's moving, axle's moving, disc brake is moving. You press on the brake pedal, it just stops that. So it stops your wheels from turning too. And at the same time you're engaging the brake, the belt that drives the transmission is being released, so it just kind of lightly spins on there, so it's not engaged and you're not fighting, you know, the belt. Otherwise, when you hit the brake, you would just smoke the belt. But that's all there is to it. Pretty simple process, not hard to fix. And yeah, you don't have to pull the transmission to do this. You can easily pull this apart from behind the mower or under the mower. But this just gave me a good opportunity to show how that's done and what it consists of. So hopefully that helps you, or at the very least you found it interesting. And if you want a kitten, anyway, that's going to wrap this up. I don't believe I'll shoot any more footage on that John Deere unless I run across something that's interesting, but I just need to get my belts and get it back together so I can put it to work. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.